The vision for me was to have people who also believe in my vision. Nan Kendi mentioned that if you can have 2,000 obsessed members in a herd, you'll be making $1 million. A good way to create like a herd, right? To create people who are obsessed with you or people who are obsessed with your ideas is...
I keep thinking about what you just said. Skool allows you to be able to have people who are obsessed with your ideas, your thoughts, and you can interact with them more closely in a different way from what other social media platforms provide.
It's very, very simple, but I just didn't feel like I had my people in there.
How did you discover Skool?
Also, that's a very good question. I started getting deeper and deeper into it after Alex Hormozy started the Skool games, and I was like, it's definitely going to get big. The quality of the interactions was a lot higher than Facebook groups, WhatsApp groups, and Telegram groups. It was just being in a community that was really, really tightly knit. It didn't feel like any of the rubbish that I'd seen on different Facebook groups. It helped people to ask good, genuine questions.
I think you nailed it. Let's talk about probably the mastermind group where you are. What were the strategies that you saw that actually worked in terms of engagement?
The tactic I remember specifically was that I think you make a very good point, Jesse, about having a controlled engagement. With social media, they reward just mindless engagement. Very horrible. With Skool, not in a restrictive way, you can almost guide people to what you want them to do. You give them freedom to say, hey, look, all those tough questions you had, all those conversations you wanted to have with people before, well, guess what? People have been in them. People have had those conversations. So for me, it felt like...
Before we dive deep into this episode, please give me just 1 minute of your time. What if I told you that there is a way to make Alex Hormozy your mentor and personal coach? Yes, it is possible. I was also blown when I discovered this truth. Many creators don't realize they can 10x their income and business growth simply by tapping into Alex Hormozy's wisdom and become part of his community called the Skool Games. And that is exactly why Skool Incubation Academy exists. The Skool Incubation community is a 100% free community. No hidden fees, no sales speeches, and we just provide pure support for free. We will provide you with a dedicated coach for 48 hours to kickstart your Skool community. We will provide you with a step-by-step guidance on how to join the Skool Games and become part of that community, and Alex Hormozy will become your mentor. But most importantly, you get to contribute to our mission by using our referral link below, which gives you a free 14 days trial of the Skool community. That is all we need. Thank you, and now back to the episode. Hey, so Fadi, I think that's the right pronunciation, right?
That's how you pronounce it in Arabic, yeah.
Fadi. So yeah, I was just looking at your community in preparation to this podcast, and I saw you talking about character, you talking about being committed, having a mission or something that you do as a young person, as a Muslim, or an entrepreneur. It was really, really inspiring watching those videos. Can you just tell us what's your background and where are you coming from with this visionary way of thinking?
Awesome. That's a very good question. I mean, where I come from in terms of the physical sense, I live in the UK, but I'm half French, half Tunisian. And I grew up Muslim, so a lot of the time I felt when living in the UK, there was a lot of things that were disconnected from kind of the culture I had at home. I know for a lot of people that I went to school with, it's the very, very same thing. Like you come to school, there's one culture, and then you go back home and there's a completely different culture. And what I was planning on doing with the community really at first, when I didn't really have anywhere to go. I mean, I don't know about you, Jesse, but whenever I was part of like a community when it comes to business related things or anything like that, I always felt slightly disconnected just because I didn't feel like I had my people. And that's, a bit of a weird thing to say sometimes, but I just didn't feel like I had my people in there. Okay. So at first I was like, you know what? I want to start a community just where other people similar to me, Muslim entrepreneurs are hanging out, talking about random things, talking to each other about our day-to-day life, which in a lot of cases has a lot of religious aspects to it, but also the entrepreneurial side. And that way I almost felt like I had the mini community that I was looking for in person here in the UK online, which sounds a bit sad, but I think you know what I mean. It was very, very nice to have that. So the vision, to be honest with you, is for me, it's just having like a friendship group really, because I feel Skool really facilitates that. really, really facilitates that. I was listening to a Dan Kennedy podcast the other day, and he said a good way to create like a herd, right, to create people who are obsessed with you or people who are obsessed with your ideas is to have them in the same place together, talking about you, talking about your ideas. And I feel like Skool just does that very, very well. And Dan Kennedy mentioned that if you can have 2,000 obsessed members in a herd, you'll be making $1 million. And it's very, very simple because those people, it's not that they just want to pay for the things that you do or that you help them with, but they just believe in the ideas that you have more. So the vision for me was to have people who also believe in my vision, which is that I guess you could say money should be in the hands of the people that think alike and want to help each other and want to help their communities. Because we often have this idea of, rich people being very selfish and things like that. Well, why not you take charge, you become rich, and then you can do the things that you believe should be done. So that was kind of the vision, is having somewhere for me, very selfishly, to hang out with people who I like. Then also to kind of have God at the center of it as well a little bit.
That is great. I can just, I keep thinking about what you just said, which is having, I think Skool allows you to be able to have people who are obsessed with your ideas, your thoughts, and you can interact with them more closely in a different way from what other social media platforms provide. I think that is one unique selling point for Skool.
Absolutely.
So, yeah. So I wanted to know, how did you discover Skool?
So I was part of this huge mastermind, which I paid a lot of money for, but it was definitely worth it. And they hosted everything on Skool. And I was very surprised how the quality of the interactions was a lot higher than when I was part of Facebook groups or when I was part of any other kind of scenarios, like, so for example, WhatsApp groups and Telegram groups. Just the quality of the conversations and the quality of the people that were in there was a lot higher. So when I came to start my own business and I was coaching people, I thought, where would I want to put these guys together? I had a WhatsApp group. I also created a Facebook group. I was thinking of creating a Discord, but then I remembered that when I was in this Skool group, I generally felt like I had amazing connections to the people in there. And it felt a lot more like a party, if you will, than kind of a serious business meeting. And I think that helped people to ask good, genuine questions. Because sometimes, a bit like in class, you feel like a bit like an idiot to ask a very simple question. But when you have a simple question asked and then loads of answers, you don't have to ask the question yourself. You can just go to that post, see what people have said, and then you can message those individuals and say, hey, you answered this post really well. I was curious, could you help me with the exact same thing that I had? And yeah, I mean, the way I discovered it was honestly just through that group that I was part of, that mastermind community. And then from there, I started getting deeper and deeper into it after Alex Hormozy started the Skool games. And I was like, it's definitely going to get big, so I better commit myself a bit more. And yeah, that's how I really discovered Skool, I guess. It was just being in a community that was really, really tightly knit. And everyone I felt was having a good quality conversation. It didn't feel like any of the rubbish that I'd seen on different Facebook groups, which sometimes are really hard to manage and things like that. So, yeah.
I think you nailed it there with the point that you actually have the opportunity to have quality conversation with people that you like, people that you're close with, or at least you think you have like-minded way of thinking, or so to speak. So with Skool, I think that's like one of the powerful way of doing it, which, for instance, let's compare this to probably a TikTok account, right? If you have a TikTok account, you can have people comment on your post or maybe on your video, but the conversation is very limited and quickly you can lose things, right? And even the engagement, you can't control how people get engaged into those kind of posts. So how do you manage? How do you see the engagement? Let's talk about probably the mastermind group where you are. What were the strategies that you saw that actually worked in terms of engagement?
I think you make a very good point, Jesse, about having a controlled engagement, if you will. With social media, a lot of the time, they reward just mindless engagement. They reward getting loads of comments. They reward those comments having people respond. There's no purpose behind a lot of the interactions on social media. You'll see some very horrible comments about someone. Maybe you'll see something very funny and that makes you laugh. There's never like anything that's particularly purposeful. I think with Skool, the tactic I remember specifically with the group I was in, was that with Skool, you can almost guide people to what you want them to do, if that makes sense. And not in a restrictive way, but you give them freedom to say, hey, look, all those tough questions you had, all those conversations you wanted to have with people before, all those kind of scenarios you thought of being in, well, guess what? People have been in them, people have had those conversations, people are open to having those conversations, and people are willing to help you answer those questions that you have. So for me, it felt like almost having a comment section full of friends that turned into a group chat. And that group chat turned into a video call. It's kind of this whole purposeful kind of environment that you have where everyone is also directed towards one thing. I don't know about you, Jesse, but one time I posted a YouTube video that did very, very well. And some of the comments were very different to what I expected. And the reason for that is they were saying things that I didn't mean to say in the video, that so many people in the comments were like, yeah, we really like this, but then other people were like, we don't like this, and they gave me reasons, and I thought, how did they get to that conclusion? How did they get there, right? Well, with Skool, it's very easy to be clear on the sort of people that you have in there as well. I think that's something that really added to the quality. You know, not bashing anyone or how they are or anything like that, but sometimes it is better to have good quality friends than obviously bad quality friends, and Skool does that. It allows you to look at how people interact with each other. It allows you maybe to find someone who's toxic, who's not really helping the community, and you can just say, hey, look, bye-bye, right? Whereas with a comment, they can always come back, they can always do this. But the quality definitely came from the quality of people as well, and I think Skool really facilitates that. It really facilitates good quality people to have purposeful conversations with each other and to help each other mostly, because they're in the group for the same purpose. Whereas someone who's scrolling on TikTok, it's just maybe wanting to pass the time. You've got the other person who's wanting to learn something. Then you've got someone else who wants to share something with their friends. Everyone's got loads of these, you know, scattering purpose, if you will, of why they're on TikTok. With Skool, everyone's here because they joined your group, because they want to learn from you, or because they're really interested in what you're talking about. And everyone has this collective idea, if you will.
Yeah, definitely. I think you are right on spot there. Like the purpose why people join certain groups, especially in other social media platforms, is different. But with Skool, somebody joining a particular community, they have a specific goal why they are making that decision, and it's easier to communicate and even control the content within the community. So I was wondering, like, how did you come about, like, your niche specifically? How did you decide that this is the niche that I want to go with, and what impact do you think that niche will create?
I think when it comes to deciding a niche, people sometimes complicate it a lot. You can look at it in two angles. You can look at it as having a business niche, and what I mean by that is, what is the niche that's best for my business? And then you can have a interest niche. What niche actually interests me? And the best case scenario is you put these two together, right? You have the business niche that is able to afford something that you would want to sell them. A business niche that, you know, is learning and knowing and growing, so they're more likely to buy something because they're not, you know, scared of spending $100 or scared of spending $1,000 on something. And then also it makes sense to target them, right? You can't have a business if you can't target the people that you want to talk to. There's also the interest niche, which for me, being a Muslim, was very, very simple to think about, is because how would I identify myself? And however you would identify yourself, predominantly right now, because obviously one day you might identify as a parent, one day you might identify as a grandparent, one day you might identify as a business owner, the other day as a worker, etc., etc. Whichever way I was able to identify myself with, I ended up deciding that to be my niche.
Okay.
Because very selfishly, Jesse, it means I can work on myself, and as much as I can work on myself, I can help other people. So it's almost like a mirror that I end up having, where if I keep working on myself, then automatically, as like a mirror, I'll be able to help my niche more, and then they'll be able to work on themselves. Whereas when you pick a business niche, the main thing I found, because I used to have an agency, what's it called, social media marketing agency. The thing I found is that you want to be a lot more logical with the process and understand, what do I want to help these people with? How do I ask them what I want to help them with? And am I okay with helping them with that? So without getting too complicated into it, when you do market research, you ask them, hey, what's your biggest problem? If 10 people tell you my biggest problem is weight loss, but you don't want to help anyone with weight loss, you'll just be like, that's not the niche for me. But if you call 10 people and they all tell you, do you know what, I just really want to improve my relationship with my parents, and you're someone who helps people improve their relationship with their parents, you'll be like, that's the niche for me. So I think sometimes people just need to do research because they have these ideas in their heads, but when they actually come to them and they find that their content isn't sticking, or maybe nobody's joining their community, a lot of the time there's just a misalignment of who you want to work with and what problems you help them solve. So it's important to have those conversations. And luckily, I had so many conversations with myself, which is a bit sad, that I kind of knew how to help my niche in some way. So that was very, very easy for me to do that. So just to reiterate the points, like you've got a business niche you can pick, and then you've also got that personal niche that you'd want to work with, the people that you identify with.
Got that, and I think that was really helpful. Now, as you were explaining these ideas, I was thinking about, what about if I am a creator and I have, let's say I have 1 million subscribers or followers across all my social media, and now I'm thinking of probably creating a community. What would be a best way to go about, like, thinking about finding the right niche for me to start?
I think that finding the right niche is, again, you're probably trying to look at your interests, right? What videos have I been making this entire time on social media? Have I been talking about business? Have I been talking about fashion? Have I been talking about hair, maybe nail acrylics, hair extensions, whatever you've been talking about? When you look at that as a niche, that's almost half the job done. But if you wanted to start something else completely different, then obviously, we go back to what I previously said, which is you pick out your interests, etc., etc. But the people, you have to understand and you have to be obsessed with who. Because the who is what's going to form your tribe. It's what's going to form your herd. Would you like a tribe full of people that only care about hair extensions? Or would you want a tribe of people who are obsessed with fashion and obsessed with dressing nicely, obsessed with, even hair extensions, doing their nails and then makeup and then, bridal hairstyles, etc., etc. Depending on who you would want to work with and who you're comfortable working with. And the reason I say comfortable is because, for example, just a random example, as a religious person, I'm not comfortable working with an entrepreneur, let's say, who works with OnlyFans models, right? Or an entrepreneur who works in something that I, think is not a very moral business or whatever that would be. The only reason for that is because I wouldn't be comfortable. There's nothing necessarily against it that you'd have in terms of a business perspective. So the biggest thing I'd say from what I learned from Russell Brunson, being in some of his masterminds as well, is who. Get obsessed with the who. A lot of the time, the more detailed you can become with the who, the more you'll realize those 1 million followers that you have across social media, a certain percentage of them fit into the perfect who that you're looking for. And then instead of making mass videos for the mass people, you just start focusing on making videos for that who, that very specific person that you've been thinking of. The person that's obsessed with acrylics, hair extensions, dresses, going to Milan to see, the fashion festivals and all of that stuff, rather than just the person who likes doing their hair on the weekend. So that's kind of the idea I'd go with. It's just very specific on the who. Very specific.
I think it's an important point, like knowing your avatar and be really clear about who you are targeting. So even if you have a lot of followers or subscribers, you really need to also look at probably the chats, the way people chat, and people that are really obsessed, that admire what you're doing, and people that you really connect with, and then identify that avatar and then create a community for that. You will see your community will become successful because it's easier for you to manage as well. Because also one thing that you said is about connecting your passion to your community, because you need to provide value for those people and you need to be there all the time. So you have to have a passion for what you're doing or for the niche that you are going to select as a community. So that's really a good point there. I just wanted to highlight some of those things that you said. So in terms of impact, right, for communities that we create, like the word itself, impact, seems to be very broad. But how do you see your own community? How do you communicate the impact that your community creates?
So the way I look at it is, again, if you can probably tell, Jesse, I'm very selfish. The thing I'll look at most is how does it impact me? And what I mean by how does it impact me is this community serving me in some way? Because if it's not serving me and I'm the one running it and I'm the one putting all the effort in, then I'm basically just sacrificing myself for what might or might not be working for other people as well. So once you have something that serves you, then you can extend your arm a bit further and be like, does this and can this serve other people? And when it comes to impact, the way I look at impact is less so about, the amount of people that I impact, but the depth of which I impact each person. For me, it's a lot more about depth and breadth, simply because if I can help just one person, just simply one person, for example, get closer to God, improve their relationships when it comes to with their family members, change the perspective they have on life, and fix their mindset in some way. Like I like to say, like get rid of resistance. Then they've unlocked not just the next year of their life, they've unlocked the next 10, 20, 30, 40 years of their life. That is a lot deeper than giving someone a quick tactic they can do, for example, on YouTube to get 1 million views. That 1 million views in 10 years might mean nothing. YouTube might have disappeared, something else could have happened. But having that deep impact on people is the way I measure impact, I guess you could say. And a good way for me to measure impact is just have conversations with people. How happy are they to have a conversation with you? I think you can definitely tell, right, if you've annoyed someone that you had a negative impact on them, that when you have a conversation with them, they don't really want to talk to you. But if people do want to talk to you, if people are happy to be listening to you, to be talking to you, to even ask you questions, then what you find is that you've left a positive impact on these people's lives. And the deeper you can go on the impact, hopefully the more fulfilled you'll feel, because it'll be fulfilling you because you're enjoying the thing that you're doing. And by extension of that, you're able to help other people. I think looking at a wave of contribution is a good thing as well. The more selfish you can be, the bigger the wave behind you, the more people you'll splash on and affect positively. Because if you hate something, you're not going to stick to it for more than a year. I don't know about you, Jesse, but I've never seen anyone stick to a job they hate for longer than a year. That they really, really hate. Everyone leaves, right? Or everyone changes the relationship they're in. If they hate the person they're with, 6 months, 1 year maximum, they're gone. If you love something, it doesn't matter how long it takes, you will always try and make it better, fix it, etc., etc. And I think that's very important for a community to see it as like a thriving relationship, if you will, with the people that you talk to, etc.
Definitely. And I like the idea of depth. Like, it's not just looking at the numbers. Sometimes you can have very few people, but the depth of the impact, it really means a lot. And also you mentioned something that I think Alex Amosi calls ethical wealth creation. So wherein you provide value for people, and also in turn they provide value for you, because in the sense that if you feel fulfilled as a creator within your own community, then it also means that you are also providing value for, and the community members also feel like they are receiving value from your community. Then it means you guys, basically, it's not like you're creating wealth if it's a free community, but at the same time, you are kind of creating value for each other. So it's a win-win for both the creator as well as the member of the community. I think that is really, really key. I'm looking at, one of the things that I'm thinking about is the way Skool looks like. A lot of people might think that Skool is just like maybe a copy of Facebook groups or maybe some other social media platforms, right? Can we talk about what limitations have you seen probably with, let's say, Facebook groups that Skool actually solve? Like, what problems that Skool has solved that makes schools really unique to other platforms that are providing communities?
I think if you look at how you can talk on Facebook, for example, there's too many distractions, way too many distractions. You're on a Facebook group, you get given an ad, you get something else. The biggest thing I'd say with the other social medias, Jesse, is that the reason they are free to you is because you are not the customer. Skool is free to use for the average member, but if you were to have a community, you are the customer. Therefore, it's made for you, the community owner, to have the best experience possible. And because by you having the best experience possible, you get more people in, what Skool has built is almost like an ecosystem of serve the customer, which is the person who owns the Skool community. And because the person who makes the Skool community wins, when their clients win, they make Skool good for the Skool owner and the person inside Skool. Facebook, if you look how it's built, it's just built on engagement and running ads. That's it. That is the point of Facebook. That's how they make their money as a company. And because they are a company, everything isn't built around the experience of the user, built around the experience of the user so they can stay long enough to engage and so they can get to see ads and then buy from those advertisements. That way Facebook can make money. I think you often compare Skool with Kajabi as well, right? Kajabi, where you can have kind of like host your courses and things like that.
Yeah.
I think if you look at Skool, as I said, like literally your own little ecosystem business, you can have everything in Skool. You can onboard new clients, show them how to do things, show them what to do. You can have a course for them. You can have calls with them, right? Because there's a calendar section. You don't have to. Whereas with Facebook, I remember there was this community was very, very funny to me. They kept putting that they have 1 week left until you join the seminar that they had. And then, the next day, 6 days left, 5 days left, 4 days left, 3 days left. Guess what? Skool does that automatically. And you don't have to do anything. It just says how many days left until the event that you have in the calendar. And that's it. I know for a fact, Evelyn, who's very big in the Skool games, Evelyn's doing very well, bless her. And she said that Skool saves her a lot more money than a Facebook community, because to run a big Facebook community, for example, even to run a small one, you have to cover like the way you automate different things, you have to cover the way you manage people, you have to have different people doing different things, people posting, people doing this, people managing the calls, whereas with Skool, it's all in one place. And again, to be honest, Jesse, the main thing I see it as is Skool is built for the person that owns the Skool community and for their community. Whereas Facebook, Instagram, even Telegram to a certain extent, they're built on the fact that they are made so that advertisers pay them, so they can show people their ads. And therefore, everything is around engagement. Not much is around actually building a community. So that's the main reason, to be honest, I'd say Skool wins over any other platform, is because literally that's how it's built. It's built to be a different platform.
Exactly. So everybody on a Facebook group, basically, you guys are just users of the platform or members, but you are actually like Facebook is actually seeing you as people that they can advertise to, and not like the other way around with Skool. You, the owner, you are seen differently. You are the owner. You set the rules, right? So you don't need to chase the algorithm. You define the algorithm, the way things needs to work. That is really a good way to look at it. And one thing that probably we can do is, because one thing that I've noticed with people, a lot of creators, a lot of people don't even know anything about Skool. How would you summarize Skool to a creator who has maybe millions of followers or subscribers in different platforms? What would you tell them that just summarizes what Skool is?
I'd say if you want to monetize the audience that you have, Skool is not just the best way to connect with people, that you can understand them better. That way you can start a product for them. I don't know if you saw their flop of the D'Amelio sisters when they had their popcorn. I think it was a popcorn come out. It didn't do very well. And the reason for that is because they never spoke to anyone who would buy the popcorn. They just thought, hey, this is a cool idea, let me do it. And I think a lot of creators face that. A lot of creators try and monetize their audience, whether it be through a sponsorship, maybe they try and start their own clothing brand. It could be 100 different things. And the reason they don't succeed is simply because they don't know what the audience actually wants. They know what sort of videos the audience wants to watch. They don't know what sort of products they want to buy. And I think Skool alone just would solve that problem 100%. Inviting people to a Skool group, asking them questions saying, hey, if I was to make a clothing brand, what sort of logo do you guys like? What sort of designs do you guys like? Already when you start launching these products, let's say, to your big audience online, just from having, let's say, 10 people on Skool give you their opinion, the likelihood of you succeeding with that drop, succeeding with that business that you've just started is so much more likely. So much more likely. And if I was to summarize Skool, I'd honestly say it is the best way to get in touch and to get to know your client avatar, the people that you love working with. And it's the best way for you to build a relationship with them. And we all know that the foundation of making money in sales is having relationships with people. So if you're money-centric, Skool's the best. If you just want to be connected to the people that you love, to the people that you've had loads of followers and you really want to connect with your followers, Skool is the best as well. So money-centric works for you. If you're community-centric, works for you as well.
So one thing, I think it makes a lot of sense for someone who has like amazing content, and probably you have a few amongst your followers or subscribers, you have a few that admires you. You need to try Skool, because Skool itself, it's the value that you get from groups like the Skool games. You have these free groups that you can join. Some of these value was something that people pay thousands of dollars for to get maybe into a course or something. But now you have direct access to the creators or owners of these courses, and they actually provide their very own strategies that they use to sell. For me, I think even for that one reason, I think somebody, as a creator, needs to join Skool and be able to access some of these communities. What do you think about that?
I think 100%. 100%. I think the value that Skool gives you in the platform itself, in the software itself, is amazing. But also, if you were to join and you were to connect with someone, let's say in the Skool games, the people, if you were to look at the net worth of people in that community alone, it has to be at least $1 billion. It has to be. There's almost 18,000 members in there. It has to be at least $1 billion. The total value that you'd get from there, from just having a conversation with someone and asking them questions. And I also think the fact that Skool gives you one place to focus. If you, for example, were to look for business advice on YouTube, first of all, how do you connect to the creator? Imagine your audience watching you. They don't feel connected to you. They have to watch videos to feel connected to you. Imagine how much more connected they would be if they could leave a comment, see that you liked it, and then send you a DM. Right? Some people might be scared the fact that people can always send them DMs, but you get to decide who to reply to and how long to take to reply and all of that jazz. But for people to become obsessed with you, which has no negative, unless you're a horrible person, it has no negative, then Skool is definitely the place for you to gain the most value from other people, but for you to create the most value for your audience as well.
So there is this argument about free community versus paid community, right? Alex Amosi advised people, when you start on Skool, start with a free community. Others think that free community, when people join, they don't actually care because they have not spent any money, so they can either participate or not, right? For big groups, it's easier, so to speak, because you have, let's say you have like 10,000 subscribers on your free community. Out of those 10,000, you can have maybe 200, 300 that will show up at a specific time. So you have people always on there. But for small groups that you, let's say you have 100 people there, sometimes it's, you go to the community, you don't see anyone, because the place is basically like a ghost town, right? So you have to really work on your engagement, and you have to do some other extra work that requires heavy lifting. So now if you look at that, some people will say, okay, because people don't pay for the free communities, that's why they don't care. So they just come, they just sign up and just forget about it. And besides, Skool is a new platform, so somebody might not even know that there is a mobile app that they need to download and get notification and so on and so forth, right? So there are those that are arguing that start with a paid community, because if somebody pays, they have demonstrated interest, and they might be interested to actually come and get value for that money that they've paid. So I'm looking at it like these two approaches. Which one do you think? Let's weigh them, like their advantages and disadvantages.
Okay. I'll start with the free community, the advantage.
Yeah. Okay.
And
Yeah.
disadvantage. I was going to say, if you look at it, the reason, as you said, most people would say is because it's free. Nobody's paid money. Why should they commit themselves? I think that's a very dangerous belief to have. And the only reason for that is because that's who you found. Or maybe that's what you do. Maybe when you join something free, you don't end up committing yourself, and therefore you think others will do the same. I think a lot of the time, the reason people should obsess with who they attract to the community is because even if you attract someone who's completely new to Skool, if you're someone who's energetic, if you're someone who, tries to build an audience of people who are committed to their vision, who are committed to their goals, and guess what? It doesn't matter where you take them, these people are committed. However, if you attract people who don't really care, they just thought, oh, do you know what, this would be really cool to have, I wouldn't mind being part of this, then yeah, obviously having them in a free community just means they're lower, because if they saw that it's paid, they'd be like, oh, I don't want to join if it's paid. The bonus or the benefits of a free Skool community, I think, is because the barrier to entry is very low, meaning everyone and anyone can join. And the reason I think that's a positive is because you get to understand the people that can join, and you get to understand the people that are in your community and the people that you get to know. If you are seeing someone who is behaving in a way you don't like them, guess what? You can kick them. They haven't paid you money. You're allowed to just kick them. No strings attached.
You can just
imagine if someone paid you $1,000, and they start swearing and hurling abuse at you, and they say this community is stupid. What do you think? Oh yeah, but they paid me $1,000. I kind of want to keep them. Right? So when it comes to that, I think that's a big bonus as well. I think a free Skool community, the reason people should start with a free Skool community, in my opinion, is so they can see that and understand that people are actually interested in the ideas that they have. A free Skool community, imagine it's a testing ground. Test what courses could work, test what sort of calls to make, test what sort of posts to make in the Skool community themselves. And then once you have things figured out, you can be like, do you know what? I think I'm ready to start having people pay for this valuable course that everyone said they want. So what you've done is created something people want. And guess what makes paid such a good thing? Is that paid only works if people want it. If people don't want it, then you just have a paid community and then nobody's coming in because people don't want it. So a free community lets you understand what do people want, and then you can make it paid. I think the people get it confused with commitment and price. I think after reading $100 million offers, they think that the more pricey something is, the more committed they are to it. I think the first question you have to ask yourself is, do they actually want it? If someone doesn't drink wine, right, they're not going to pay for a $100 bottle of wine. Same way they're not going to pay for a $1 bottle of wine. They're just not going to drink wine. So when you have something that people want, whether it's free or paid, if you're able to engage them, if you're able to get them to join, right? Which personally, by the way, Jesse, I found that when it comes to engaging free Skool communities, it can be really easy if you just message people. Be like, hey, dude, I imagine you've got such good ideas. Post about your ideas. I would love to hear them. Or when someone posts something, you say, hey, dude, I love this post. Can't wait to see another post that you make this week or tomorrow. Or someone leaves a comment. Hey, bro, loved your comment. I love the support that you're giving to, I don't know, Thomas, who posted, right? The more you engage people and give them positive reinforcement for doing something, for posting, for commenting, for messaging, then the more they're going to do it. So I was going to say the main benefit I would give to a paid Skool community is that you make money from it. And you can have higher quality people only because they want something so badly and they are committed to it that they are willing to pay for it. Some people are also willing, to commit to their growth, but maybe they're not willing to commit $1,000 to their growth. The people that are going to pay you. So that's kind of the main thing I'd say is you can definitely make money from, a paid Skool community. Same way you can make money from a free Skool community, to be honest. You just have to know what you're doing in the free Skool community. And oftentimes when you know what you're doing in the free Skool community, I think it can be more powerful than a paid. Because if people really trust you, you can bring out another offer and people will be like, yep, absolutely, would love to pay for that.
Yeah.
If it's a paid community, if it's coaching, if it ends up being a course, if it ends up just being like a one-on-one consultation, people will pay for that because they love you and they see you as the expert after being in your free community. So there's loads of different ways you can weigh it. I think if someone's uncertain of like, do I start a paid or free community? I want to make money from Skool. You have to look at it from a longer time horizon. Is this something you're willing to commit 6 months, a year to? If it is, start with free. Because by month 6, not only will you completely understand your niche and your avatar, you'll understand what they want, and then you can sell them what they want. And they'll pay you what you want them to pay you, right? Whereas if you went paid straight away, you were desperate, I need someone to pay so I can pay off my school fee, etc., then you're rushing the business process. And if you rush the business process, you're going to have a very shaky, wobbly business. So Skool is easy to get into, and that's what people fall the trap in. They think, I need to get paid straight away, but it's okay for you to take your time. Yes, you will end up paying months and months of Skool for making no money, but that's okay. Because you have to think longer term. Once you give people what they want, the growth is exponential from there. So that's kind of the tactic I'm playing, and so far it's benefited me a lot. So I've got a free Skool community. I used to have a paid one. People did pay to join. But I have a free Skool community, and I've made more money from the free Skool community than I have the paid Skool community, believe it or not. So,
okay. So somebody might ask, okay, how do you make money from a free community, right? Like, what do you do? What are the ideas around that?
I think the idea is there's loads of ideas. The main thing you'd want to understand is, what do these people want? So have as many conversations with them as possible. I'm just going to give a random example with the fashion, right? Let's say you started a community with fashion, nails, hair extensions, etc., etc. You end up figuring out that a lot of people are posting questions about, how do I shop, right? How do I find the best place to shop? So you decide, do you know what? I'll make a short guide about how to find the best place to shop on a budget. And then you tell people, hey, I've made this guide. Look, I don't want to sell it for very much. So for the first 100 or 10 people, it's going to be $7. And then people are going to be like, oh, amazing. The problem I've been having that nobody has given me a direct answer to, because people have different opinions, I've now got the expert of the group, which is you, the person that created the group, to share with me this guide. And it's only $7. I'll pay for that. And then maybe another problem comes up. Oh, I have a date coming up. How do I dress for the date? I don't want to look too sleazy, but I don't want to also, give off the wrong vibe. I don't want to do this, I'm doing that. So then you create a guide about how to dress for a date. And then you make this one $20. The only way you're going to know what people want You let them have a conversation freely in a free school community. And maybe you end up realizing that these girls need fashion consultations. You say, I'll review your outfit, or I'll review your shopping outfit list with you for $100. And they sit down with you, they pay you $100, and you review the outfits. But let's say you came up with that idea and nobody wanted it. It doesn't matter how many members you have in your free school community. If nobody said, I would love if someone told me how to wear this, or how to wear this, or how to do this, or how to do that. I think a free school community really facilitates that, Jesse, to be honest. I think the best thing it does is it gives you on a plate, on a silver platter, saying, hey, look, this is what the people that you want to work with want. You can charge for it, and they will pay you because they said they want it. Whereas if they didn't, if you just came up with a random product and you were like, hey, would you guys buy this? They'd be like, not really. When did we mention that? So I think that's the main benefit, to be honest. If you want to start a free school community, the way you can sell is you can sell anything. Anything. As long as people want it, and ask them what they want. Let them have conversations in the community. Post things like, what do you guys struggle with when you're picking out outfits? Or what do you guys struggle with breaking your nails when you add acrylics? I'm not a nail expert, so I've got no idea where I'm going with this. But you get the point. You kind of understand their problems. And then once you can build a solution, they'll pay you for that solution gladly. Very gladly.
Definitely, I think, because the best way to know the problem that you're trying to solve is to ask people that have that problem. Then they can tell you. That's the way you know which solution to build, right? So having the free community actually helps you to know the solutions that people are looking for, and then if you provide that solution, you can make money out of it. So speaking of being an expert, in other social media platforms, becoming an authority is actually a very difficult thing. I can give you an example. Say, for instance, you are on LinkedIn and probably you're making some posts. For you to actually become to be considered to be an expert, sometimes takes years of hard work, and for you to be able to break through that wall, and then people start maybe commenting or following what you say, right? For instance, let's say if I make a post, even if my post is really, really strong and it makes a lot of sense, and then you only have like a few people commenting on that post, but then if somebody like Alex Amosi make a post, right? Whether it's probably in terms of maybe useful information, right? Maybe my post is more useful compared to probably what he has posted. You will see hundreds of people making comments on that post because he is an authority on the platform and is expected, right? So how does Skool help creators become an expert? And what's the idea behind this, really?
Amazing question, Jesse, because I've thought about this a lot myself. I think Skool comes first. What I mean by that is people think I need to be an authority before I start Skool. Or people think I need to have a huge audience before I start Skool. I think Skool starts first. If you just have one person and that person yells very loudly, Jesse has an amazing community, everybody join, then already you are starting to become an expert. If you are able to become an expert on Skool, people will not only see that you are an expert because you have people in Skool already, but they'll also start looking at your other social medias as a form of you being able to express your expertise. So I'll give you a quick example. Let's say you don't have YouTube, you don't have Instagram, you don't have TikTok, you don't have anything. You start a Skool community about helping people lose weight. Very basic fitness example, right? And then 2 people join the Skool community. So now there's 3 people in total. There's you and 2 others. You answer all their questions, you help them. More people join, you've got 20, 30, 40 people in the Skool community. Let's say one day you reach 50, and then you decide to make a YouTube video talking about how I've helped people lose weight. Well, guess what? Now you're not in the brackets of thousands of other people trying to help people lose weight. You've got a Skool community. People are already saying and watching those videos because they were like, this guy helped me so much in the Skool community, I'm going to go watch his YouTube videos. And now you're going to have other people similarly watch you. And they're going to look at your Skool community, they're going to see that you're an expert, and it's going to build this around you, whereas you don't have to already have millions of followers. The millions of followers will come from you doing so well on Skool, from you helping people on Skool. So I hope that makes sense, is that the equation actually is the other way around. Skool comes first. You become an expert on Skool, you can become an expert anywhere. And it's very easy to become an expert on Skool. Very, very easy. But when you have that backing from school and you have kind of that thing behind you that it's like, oh, I didn't just come online and start spewing nonsense about weight loss. I've got 50 people that I've helped. I've got 50 people that I talk to regularly. This is the advice I can give you. So I think, honestly, it's people have got it backwards. You know, school can actually help you become an authority figure before you even have an audience, before anything. So, yeah, I think that's the way I'm playing it as well so far, Jesse, and it's been very, very beneficial. People see that I have a school community, they think, oh, this guy has something to talk about. You know, this guy has something to share, something to give value about.
Yeah. And another point, just to connect that to what you are currently saying, is you have communities like the Skool games, right? We have like a total net worth, just a rough estimate, like you mentioned earlier, like a 1 billion net worth of those people that are on the Skool games community, and some of those people are actually authorities in their respective areas. So you interacting with them, having them comment on your post, and you also commenting, you create that kind of connection. That also solidifies this point that you just made, which can quickly make you an expert, because you are not just alone. You are also within a community that actually has experts in different fields. So which means that if you have a community, you can easily stand out as an expert and an authority in that domain.
Exactly.
Definitely. Yeah.
Exactly. And I think you're 100% right. Jesse, I think me and you being part of the Skool games, we cannot stress enough how valuable that community is in general. It's having, you know, access to Alex Hormozy alone. I mean, come on. That's already incredibly valuable. And everyone in there is wanting to learn. Everyone in there is wanting to help other people. It's honestly one of the loveliest communities I've ever been part of. So even if anyone's hesitant of like, do I join Skool? Do I not join Skool? Join for a month just to be part of the Skool games community. You'll learn so much about business, so much about yourself, so much about what you can do with Skool and everything like that. I think you'll have more clarity than confusion. This is one of the only times where there's so much information that you get clarity rather than confusion. I really like it, to be honest.
That's an interesting way to put it. Like you definitely have clarity more than confusion. Like most of the things that confuses you, you get clarity on them, because sometimes some of the posts just blows me away. Like the way the kind of patience that people have to just point out key things that you need to take, like steps. They actually put on their post steps that you need to take step by step. You will immediately know that this thing works, because you see your mistakes, you see your lapses, and then you will just run with it. Some of those posts have actually changed their business. They've actually made actual money, you know, just following those steps. It's crazy. It's really crazy. So I think we're currently talking about the point that I wanted to make. If you are a creator and you're probably listening to this, and you've not made the decision to join Skool, you are definitely missing something huge. They are missing.
100%.
So, yes. Now, I want to turn to another side of the conversation, which is, what do you see as the vision that you have for your community in let's say in the next maybe 12 months or even 5 years?
In terms of numbers, I don't really have a particular number I'm aiming in terms of having 3 members in there. But the vision I definitely have is being able to help people defeat resistance. When I say people, I mean specifically Muslim entrepreneurs. Because the biggest thing I think that held me back for the first 2 years of my entrepreneurial journey was me overthinking, it was me procrastinating, it was me self-sabotaging. Whenever I tried to do something and it kind of felt off, it was understanding why that felt off. And it took me 2 years to try and fix those things. And if I could help someone fix them in 2 weeks from starting off as an entrepreneur, they could have a lot of success. And we all know how much business could change someone's life. We all know how much being an entrepreneur could change someone's life. Being able to provide for your family, being able to provide for your loved ones, being able to, you know, take away the debt that you've been faced with, being able to help yourself, you know, eat the food that you've always wanted to eat, to be healthier, to live in a better neighborhood. All of that stuff can come from being an entrepreneur. And if someone can realize that the biggest thing that's blocking them is themselves, and then I help them fix that, bam, bada, boom. I think we'll all be living in a better world. So that's kind of my vision, to be honest. I don't have like a specific number, Jesse, really. I just being able to actually hone in and have a method that perfectly works. And that comes from a lot of reflection for myself, a lot of guinea pig testing on myself, trying out different ways to wake up out in the morning very early, trying different ways to jump out of bed excited, trying different ways to beat procrastination so that I can come to my community and be like, hey guys, this is what's worked for me. I beg that you try this because I guarantee that it will work for you. That's it, honestly. It's just being able to have that kind of progression. And I think once that happens for a lot of people, once they have that click of giving people the solution, the money just pours in. So the money just pours in like you want it to pour. I think that's a big aspect that I'm looking at right now in terms of the vision that I have.
Great. Thank you so much, Fadi. I would end the conversation here, but this has been really, really insightful. Like you pointed out some really key strategies, like the focusing on depth instead of numbers and all of those things. I think my audience will enjoy this conversation. And also what I would say is, definitely. Once we end the conversation, just leave your browser open because the clip will be loading, so it's saved on your browser. So just leave it on so that it loads up complete. I think you are currently at 79% uploading. So yeah, then also I'll be sending some of the once the episode is completed, we finish the editing, I'll send it over to you so that you take a look as well. Sometimes I do also create some social media clips that you can also share with your network. But this was really, really helpful. Thank you so much. I really appreciate this, and I hope we can do this again some other time.
Thank you so much, Jesse. Thank you very much, brother. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you. Yeah. All right, then. Take care.